This is a good question, though. I didn't give it that much thought.
Are you happily single or are you happily dating? That's the or we just want to talk about being single. Well, we could so the episode could be, are you happily single, and then we could still talk about self-love, like loving yourself.
No, I think we can put all of that. I feel like we can put the building, because we are both single. So technically we can bring this back into the conversation.
Come on, yeah. So you could start off with your drama.
My drama?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just getting you heated for the podcast.
No, but what drama should I tell? A single story or okay. So, all right. Welcome. Now we're doing. This is our second day of, or not second day, second time. Wait, don't interrupt me. It's my turn. It's the second time that we're doing our podcast.
This is our second day on set.
No,
right.
I know. But,
I was just saying.
So what we're gonna do, right? What we're talking about today is how the fuck am I still single? This is we're gonna talk about that. Building self-love. Why are you single? Why am I still single?
Yeah. Oh, it's about to be juicy.
I guess. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. No, so why? How the fuck are you still single? Why are you still single? Let's start. I want to hear a juicy story first. Like, give us a juicy story give us your last person you talked to.
Oh my God.
Why are you single from the last person that you talked to?
Yeah, so I had met this guy, and I hope you watch this because you are an asshole. And so nah, he is though. So I met this guy when I was out with my homegirl or whatever, and I mean, we had the best chemistry, like a lot of fun. Actually, not that much fun, but the next day he hit me up and was like, yo, let's go to brunch. And we went to brunch at 12 and we stayed out all the way up until 5 a.m.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I like this dude. He's mad cool. I liked how he, I do this thing oftentimes with people that I date, and I will play this card game, right? And he was at the time the only person that really got through the card game and was like, yo, ask me more. So I was like, okay. I really like the fact that we can have these conversations. Right. Anyway, so we had gotten into it one time because he had all these rules, like straight off when I first met him.
Wait, when you say rules, like what do you mean? Like these are like his boundaries, like rules? Like what do you mean? I guess
they might be boundaries, but he was like, I don't like when people say I love you to me. I don't like people touching me. I don't like affectionate cards. I don't like surprises. And I said, so you don't like me? Like you're not gonna like me?
That sounds crazy.
This is what he said. So I'm like, I don't know your situation. We listen, we don't judge. So I was like, I knew right then I can't talk to this dude. Long story short.
But you did. You continue to talk to him?
Yes.
How long? You can continue with your story after. But how long did you talk? From the moment that he told you, hey, this is my boundaries, basically. How much longer did you talk to him? 2 months. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so, because he told me his boundary on the second date.
Okay.
So I said to him on the second date, we're probably not going to work.
Okay, but
he's just like, I might adjust on some things. And he did. Like, he started to become a little bit more affectionate. He was really good at conversation. I was like, cool. So we had an incident one time. And I can't really remember what happened. I think, I travel a lot for work. I went somewhere. I met this dude. He asked me a question. The dude that I'm talking about right now, he asked me what I did the night before. I told him that I met a dude, but I didn't mess with him. We just talked at the bar, so he got jealous.
Yeah.
Whatever. So we ended it. He didn't say happy birthday to me. It was just a lot of stupidness. Now, let me tell you something right now. The whole no happy birthday thing, that bothers me. So anyway, so we go out one night. This is after the birthday. We gonna try one more time. We go out one night, and I get to the spot, and we at the bar. He's like, yo, let's go get a drink. I was like, okay. We go both get to the bar. Now, I already have an issue. Why do I have to walk to the bar with you to get us a drink? Yeah. So he about to pay for so we both order our drinks. He about to pay for the drink. He goes in his pocket and he pulls out his wallet. He goes, you know what? Would it be cool if you brought the round of drinks? and I buy the next round of drinks. So I'm like, I mean, sure, right?
Wait, all right. So you said sure, but like, really, how did you feel when
I
you
was
said
just
that?
over here like, what? Now, I'm not against paying half
Yeah.
and doing that, but it just was whack to me. I thought it was intentional, like you really didn't want to do it, and that's why you fake pulled out your wallet.
Yeah.
So anyway, so now like we go over to his people, and they all take shots. Nobody pour me a shot. This dude take a shot, leaves this much in the shot glass, and hands me the shot glass as like, here's your shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? So anyway, so by the end of the night, he was like, yo, so like, what we doing next? I said, I'm going home. And he cursed me out. He called me all types of words and all that stuff. So that was the last person that I talked to, dated type thing.
Okay. Well, that sounds fun.
It wasn't that fun.
Nah.
It got wild. What about you?
I mean, you mess with him too. I feel like from the get-go, like we talk about red flags and green flags, right? From the get-go, you seen what he told you he didn't like, those were red flags to you, right?
Yes.
But you went with the red flags. You was cool with that.
Well, I don't know if they were red flags or if it was more so like different. Like you saying that you don't like now I know that I'm a very affectionate person.
Right.
I like giving gifts. I love surprising people.
Yeah.
So I knew that it wouldn't work. I think that when he said, but I'm going to try, I gave him space to try.
Got you.
But this ain't a podcast about Crystal's dating life.
No,
I mean, so what?
I mean, you sharing. I'm just asking the questions. Go ahead.
So what's your last?
My situations is not crazy. I mean, I don't like, I've dated people, it didn't work out. Mainly my relationships don't work out because alignment. Like we just don't be aligned. Like I can have fun with anybody. We can have a good time, but it could be like emotional alignment, like as far as like emotional intelligence of that person. It could be not a lot of people. Some people have been intimidated. I mean,
hold on. We started this podcast over.
Why?
Because you cannot not tell a dating story.
I'm talking about it.
No, a real dating story. Like a real story.
I don't have a crazy story. What are you talking about?
Taking my story
Why do
out.
I have to have a... Nah, we going to keep this in here. Y'all see this? Y'all see how she just trying to cancel our podcast and talk to production? Absolutely not. Moving forward, she's mad because her story is tragic and mine's not. Anyways, so look, we going to skip my story now.
Go ahead. Tell your story.
Yeah.
You feel like they're intimidated by your success?
I don't be knowing what they're intimidated by. Like,
so
one of my last girlfriends I had, she was just scared to talk. Like, you would think I was abusing her or something. Like, she was just scared to express herself, and it would take her like a month to bring up a situation, if it was a situation.
Yeah.
And even if it wasn't situations, it could be something like super simple that she just wouldn't talk about.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm a talker, so I like people to like address situations when they initially happen. Like if you're not addressing a situation when it initially happened, I'm probably not gonna be as receptive to what you're saying. Not saying that I won't listen, but it's gonna be a little bit irritating for me if you come back weeks later and try to bring up something that may have happened.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think I'm single right now by choice though. Like there's people I could date, but I also think about, substance. Like I've dated, had fun, going from city to city, whatever the case may be, with people, and I feel like now, like I want something that is sustainable. Like I want to grow and build with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like success, an individual with success, that's important to me. And that success could be different. Like, I'm not saying you got to be a business owner. I mean, you could, have whatever job that you, as long as you living good and you making means for yourself, I'm cool with that. I just want you to be happy and comfortable with the things that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And don't feel like you got to compete, or don't feel like, oh, I'm intimidated because I have all of this, or, whatever. Talk to me. Figure out what it is that I'm feeling or what I'm thinking versus trying to assume that.
Yeah.
I think that's important. So, I mean, as of right now, me being single, I date. I'm dating, I should say, right? And I'm also working on myself too at the same time. I think it's important when you're not dating, you should be working on yourself in ways. So, like, when we get out of situations, whether it's a situationship or whether it's a full-blown relationship that we have with somebody, we should always take moments to reflect on, like, scenarios and things that may have happened within that relationship. Even when it comes down to friendships, or relationships with your family, like, these are still things that can happen in an intimate relationship. So reflecting on conflict is important because, the conflict may come back up with another person. At least you'll be able to navigate it differently. And just reflecting on, like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the things that you need to improve on? What worked for you in your last relationship and what didn't work for you?
Yeah.
And although, I mean, you could deal with somebody else and it looks different. Everything that worked in your last may not work in your new, but it's still, you at least create a framework for who you are, what you believe in, your values, and how you navigate relationships with other people.
Yeah.
But I think that it definitely starts with the self, like self-love. So what is self-love to you?
So that's a good question. I'm gonna read this because I don't want to mess it up. A couple of years ago, I had read All About Love by Bell Hooks, and I know a lot of Black women have read this book. It has really helped them think about love. And she brings up a definition of love, but she also talks about the fact that the reason why love is so challenging for people is because there's no real definition for it. And then this was the one that she found the best. And she said, it's not her quote, but she wrote the quote in the book, or she referenced the quote in the book, and it's the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. And so self-love to me has started to become the nurturing of myself and the relationships that I have too.
Yeah.
And so that can be like taking better care of my physical self. It's also going back into therapy and being intentional about finding a therapist that I can talk to. It's going back to church and working on my spiritual growth. So it's all of those things that I have to nurture my spiritual growth in order to show myself love to.
Yeah.
It's that willingness to do so and that action behind it.
Yeah, I agree with that definition. I also think it's a lot more components to it, but the spirituality piece, I definitely agree with that. Like, you have to have some type of spiritual ground in order to improve that self-love, but also, like, emotional intellect to build self-love with yourself. I think we don't talk enough about building trust with ourselves. A lot of times when you hear trust, you think about, I don't trust this other person, or I'm trying to trust this other person. But we a lot of times put ourselves in situations that we know is wrong for us, and then we'll do it again and do it again, and we'll wind up in fucked up situations, right? And we'll wind up in fucked up situations, and we don't talk about, like, how important it is to build that trust with ourselves.
No, that's so true. So, like, I feel like I used to be this type of person. I'm better at it than I was, but I used to be this person where I didn't trust myself. I had my own mental health challenges many years ago, and it really had me questioning a lot of my own decisions. And I relied a lot on other people and also, like, my therapist at the time. Yeah. So I would often need to, like, get an opinion or get a second opinion and not think actually for myself. Like, does this make sense? I used to, and not that we can use this word, I know it's misused a lot, about like gaslighting and dating somebody who gaslights, but it really had me like questioning my reality for a while coming out of something like that. So it took a while for me to build trust back in myself so that I can make decisions that feel good to me.
Yeah.
You know? But I think a lot of times people struggle with trusting themselves because of making poor decisions in the past.
Yeah. But I also think it's the acknowledgement. Like people, well, not even the acknowledgement, the awareness. Like I don't feel like people understand that one is important to trust yourself.
Yeah.
And or even understand that, hey, I'm not doing it.
When you say you're not doing it, is that like a boundary you're talking about? Like creating a boundary when you say you're not doing it?
Yeah, I think it's important with creating boundaries for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, just like we create boundaries with other people, like you have to have those boundaries for yourself. Like if I know that if I go into this environment, if I stop smoking weed, right, and then I go around all my friends that smoke weed, you know, I'm putting myself in this environment to quote unquote relapse. I may not be an addict, but
Yeah.
you know, to go back to those bad habits. Where if I had that boundary and it's like, okay, I can chill with y'all when y'all not smoking weed over here, you know, and I'll go ahead and do X, Y, Z over here. I'm creating that safe space for myself. But when I don't have that boundary, then I put myself in all these little dangerous situations that I potentially have to try to figure out how to put the fire out, or I'm gonna fall into whatever is happening.
Yeah. Do you think like even using that analogy, like do you think that there's a benefit in exposure? Because I do think that like a lot of people are still single because they have these really strong and long standards and expectations. My old pastor would say that expectations should be realistic, communicated, and agreed upon.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I feel like people have these expectations of other people that they don't communicate.
Right.
And then they get upset that it's not met. You know, I think about how amazing my daughter is. Just a quick shout out to her. I was talking to her the other day and I was kidding with her because sometimes she answers my calls, or no, actually, no. What happened was I called her and I said something to her and she didn't say what I wanted her to say back to me.
Yeah.
So I made a joke and I was like, Asia, you didn't say da 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 da. I'm mad. And she was like, hold on. You mad at me for an expectation that you had that you didn't communicate with me?
Yeah.
And that's like my issue. Like she's joking back, but it's just the mind of an 18-year-old, right? Like sometimes we have these expectations, and I think a lot of people remain single because they have these uncommunicated expectations. Why do you think people don't communicate their expectations?
Well, I mean, it could be fear, it can be rejection, it can be them not really knowing what they want. Like we may say, like, "Oh, okay, I don't like this, but I don't know what the alternative is." Yeah, those are my top three that I would say.
No, I would say that too. Like it's a fear, it's not knowing what the alternative is, not thinking that you can even have it, right?
Yeah.
But I do think I think sometimes people feel like they can't communicate out of practice of like trying to communicate before and it not going well, and so they just don't do it at all.
Yeah.
So that can also be like reasons why.
Oh yeah, definitely past experiences. But I feel like, yeah, we getting older. I mean, at this point, it's so much going on in the world. You're not communicating your needs. Like, who do you expect to communicate for you?
That's true.
You know, like you have to be your biggest advocate.
But for people that struggle with advocacy, like think about like people that are scared to use their voice because of past trauma.
Right.
Like, you know, how do you get out of that? Like, and just, I tell people just do it anyway, or like,
it's a skill.
it.
It is a skill that you have to develop.
Yeah.
Like you have to have that support. Somebody that has trauma, you know, you have to go through, therapy, that treatment, whatever that treatment looks like for you,
Yeah.
in order to find your voice back. Because you may have like, a little girl that's been molested when she was younger for all these years, and like as an adult, she lets men, abuse her, walk over her. She gets cheated on. She's complacent in those type of relationships, And if if she hasn't gone through the healing process of that childhood trauma, and then being able to reflect on, hey, this is how that childhood trauma is showing up today, and then work on those things, it is going to be hard for somebody to advocate for themselves. And on top of that, if they don't have no additional support,
Yeah.
But those I would say would be the things, some of the steps that people can take in order to find their own voice and advocacy.
Yeah.
And because a lot of times you will have that friend or that support system that will advocate for you. You would, but they're not going to always be there.
Yeah.
Right. So at some point you do have to take that step and work on it.
Yeah.
And some people are just not ready to work on that, and that's fine too. But you may be impacted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did, like, I think of when you mentioned the supportive piece, and, when I was more single, I think there's levels to the single thing, right? Like, you be dead single where you ain't talking to nobody, your phone is dry, ain't nobody texting you, ain't nobody DMing you. Then you might got a little action. So you're like, this is step one. Then like maybe step 2 or 3, you got a little action. And then like maybe step 3, you got a little like possibility or potential, right? So when I was at step 1, and ain't nobody was in my DMs or anything or texting or nothing was going on, my best practice was creating like these connections with my friends, but in ways that allowed me to practice. Cause I used to not like physical touch. Like, don't hold my hand. I didn't like it. And so while I was in step 1 singleness, I would hold my friend's hand. I'll do arm in arm with them. And even still now, I can only do that with certain people.
Yeah, it's about comfortability.
Yeah, so the importance of friendships in your singleness, what do you think about that?
I think it is important. I mean, I feel like God created us, one, to connect with people, right? So, and we have different levels of connection with people. I think friends are very important. I just actually seen a post where it had said something along the lines like, oh, it's talking about guys. It was like guys that hang out with their homeboys 2 days out of the week have better like self-esteem or better like mental health or something like that. That's what the fact was. But I do believe that when you do have healthy friendships, I mean, it can make certain aspects of your life easier or feel better and good at the times that you're hanging out with your friends. People who don't have friends, I look at them a little weird. I'll be like, yo, you might have a problem with you. Like, you don't have no friends. You have 0 friends. You have to be.
What about one friend? Like, what if a person has one friend and it's not 0
But
friends?
I still want to know the background story. Like, all right, you got one friend. Why do you only have one friend? Like, do you have one friend because all these other people, you got one friend and your one friend got 20 friends that don't want to be your friend? You gotta be the issue. You have to be the issue. I'm just saying. I mean, it could be a million scenarios. Really,
I don't quite understand why people don't have not even a lot of friends, but like if somebody has been spending 20, 30 years in the world, how do you not have at least 5 good connections at minimum? And whether that's family or friends, and this is no judgment, this is curiosity. So this isn't judgment, this is curiosity. I think about like when like one of the other things that my friendships did really well is that they became editors to my narrative at times.
Yeah.
They've seen me in my lowest places. So as I transitioned, as I've grown, whenever I would get stuck on a story that didn't serve me, oftentimes they'd be like, Crystal, like,
they help you create that self-awareness.
They help me bring it back. They help me recreate the narrative, and I the same for them. And so it's really good having those friendships in the time of your singleness. The thing about it though, I think, is that like transitioning like from not being in that same headspace and not having as much time, or transitioning to focus more on yourself.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, males and females navigate singleness different though.
How so?
Well, I can't speak for every man, but I mean, I could speak from like, at least from what I witnessed with men. Like, I don't. Now, I have seen some men be super emotional over like breakups or whatever, but I'm not even talking about breakups. I'm gonna focus on just being single. Like, a lot of people that I know that are single, I feel like they're comfortable with being single. Like, I don't feel like they dwell on like their past relationship. I mean, yeah, they may have desires to, do whatever it is that they desire to do, but I feel like men don't really reflect how women reflect on singleness.
I wonder if they don't do it with other men, because the men that I be talking to, and you ask the other women, they be reflecting.
So what does that look like? And that may be
Like,
the case, because a lot of men got homegirls and that we talk to, right?
They do.
So like,
I can't really say much on it. It depends on what you about to ask me.
No. Not like, just give me an example. Share with us an example, like what is something that somebody has shared.
Oh, they'll share like their deepest pains about a situation, like deepest.
But is this about a breakup, or is this about just being single? Because those are two different things. I feel like.
So I think what I feel like the energy that I get from dudes around being single is that they're tired. Like, they're just not. It's just like, yo, I'm not trying to meet another chick, go on more dates.
I agree with you.
For us to get to this spot, for us to not talk anymore. Like, it's that seems
the repetitiveness is tiring.
It's just like, they just can't. They just haven't gotten it right yet. Right.
Yeah, and some people I agree with you. I have experience with guys, that I'm cool with that, feel tired per se. And then also some just really just like their space. And
so that's the hard part.
I think some people, and I think this is for men and women, some people are scared to settle down. So they stay single, but I don't feel like
settle down and not settling. That's right. So you mean they're scared to
get into a relationship, a committed relationship.
Yeah.
Right, so then they'll stay single, but they're also not comfortable 100% with being single. So like, they battle their singleness because it's like, I want some type of companionship, right? Or some men may just want sex or whatever the case may be. But then the other half is like, I don't want to go through this whole cycle again. The cycle of learning people is a lot of work.
It is.
From the beginning. It's a lot of work.
It is.
Yeah.
And I
it's fun though. I actually enjoy it. I enjoy the cycle of learning people. I don't know if that sounds crazy or not.
It don't.
But I do. Like, I enjoy getting to know somebody from scratch.
Yeah.
But it is tiring, and it is a lot of work, and it's time consuming. But I mean, if you're interested in that person, then it's not gonna feel like work. It's not gonna feel like time consuming, because now I want to give my time in this situation. But everybody don't feel that way. Mm-hmm. Some people, prioritize their time a little bit different, and that may be too much time that they need to take away to invest in this man or this woman.
But I think those things should be communicated. Like, one of the guys one of my friends, he was saying how he didn't want to date because he didn't want to disappoint the person that he was going to date. And he felt like he needs space. I said, yo, why don't you just tell her that you need space sometimes? Call it into the conversation. Proactive communication is, before a thing becomes a thing, you call it into the conversation. So I was like, yo, just tell her.
Right.
Or he'll get into this thing where he'll just ghost you. Like, he's just not going to respond. And I had said to him one time, I think
that's crazy. The ghost, I feel like it was an error with my bad, but I feel like it was an error with ghosting. And the ghost, well, I don't get ghosted, but it was an error with ghosting. Mm-hmm.
Despite rising societal stressors, it's possible to take care of your well-being. Levels Mental Health provides compassionate care for those experiencing mental health challenges. Our holistic approach addresses anxiety, depression, behavior issues, and trauma, ensuring individuals feel understood. It's time for accessible mental health services for all. Visit levelsmentalhealth.com to learn more, schedule a consultation, or donate to expand outreach and support our community.
The ghosting error is crazy to me. Like, you just gonna stop talking to somebody with no explanation or nothing?
See, I can see why people do that, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't stop talking to somebody because I can only imagine the emotional toll that it will take on somebody if I just stop talking to them. But
I got So look, I'll tell you, I got ghosted one time, right?
yeah,
Well, I was dating somebody. Like, we were actually dating, and then I got ghosted.
what does that mean? Actually dating? Let's
Like,
talk
we've been dating for months,
okay, go ahead.
like 6-7 months,
Like going out on. So we
actively
should,
dating, hanging out with each other all the time, staying at each other's house, going out on dates, like actively dating. When I got ghosted, I wanted to know why I got ghosted.
Of
Like,
course.
I didn't care that I got ghosted.
But you want to know why?
But I wanted to know. So, like, what happened? Like, just let me know what's good.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's at this point, cool. Like, you acting too funny for me. Like, I don't even want to move forward. But I do want to know
why you did that.
what happened.
Did they ever say anything?
Like 4 months later. At that point, it's just like, why did you even say anything?
People
Like,
do
you're
that
weird.
shit.
You're weird. You're weird.
Was it a good enough?
weird.
Did you do something,
No,
or it was something they was going
I didn't
through?
do anything. It was not a good reason.
Oh,
It wasn't a good reason. It was so it was more so an internal thing, like, that they were going through, had to process, and that they didn't want to speak about. So after they went through everything that they had to go through, or whatever the case may be.
did they circle back, try to talk to you again, or just told
No,
you?
nah.
That's crazy. Like, I've never been ghosted.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I did. He came back though, so that's not ghosting. I think they call that like zombieing or something. For real, when somebody comes back,
that's just a abracadabra.
no,
Disappear
like
real quick.
they stopped talking, and I knew he was lying about why. So he hit me. First of all, I hate when dudes hit me with the mental health thing because they know I'm sensitive to it. I'd be like, okay, right? You went back to that ex. I know you went back to that ex.
I'm so weak.
But that's what he said. He was like, I had a mental health challenge,
Oh, no,
and he
but
tried
look,
to circle back.
When she ghosted, first off, that 4-month period, my thing is, if you come back to me no, I wasn't patient, but if you come back to me 4 months later with your storyline, right?
Yeah.
On this is what you had going on, but you outside having a time of your life.
So you would see it. Y'all follow each other on Instagram?
At the time,
So you was seeing her living her outside
like,
during this whole.
But you got issues. It don't add up to me. It's
so
just
you
like,
still think she didn't tell you the truth?
No, I had somebody. I ain't gonna even say that. Look, I ain't gonna get too juicy.
Messy Marcel.
So it was one time. Nah. Yeah. Anywho.
But I can understand, like, if somebody that stuff hurts. Like, to just leave somebody, not say anything. So I have gotten cursed out by dudes because I will tell you, and I know they're gonna curse me out, but I will say, hey, I want to tell you that this doesn't feel good to me, or this connection isn't where I think it's supposed to be at this time, and I'm going to end it, or like, we can be cool. I'm never going to go someone unless I feel like my life is in danger. And I still don't think that that's ghosting. It's more protection, but I'm not going to do that to people because I think it's incredibly unfair.
Yeah. People just struggle at communicating, what they feel, and they just like,
it's easier to just not say anything.
I'm not gonna say anything. And now I'm gonna make up a sad story.
So in somebody's singleness, right? We talked about the definition of love and nurturing and why you're still single. Wait, I didn't say why I'm still single.
I mean, you talked about your last situation.
Yeah, but like, I feel like I'm speaking on me and behalf of all my other single friends that we be talking, right? A lot of men lack good enough communication intentionality, and I don't know, it's something in the water.
For real.
I really do think that. Like,
For real. No.
I'm sorry for coughing, but I really do think. No, I think it's no. That's what people just. I think the pandemic did a number on folks, and I also think people are tired and may have gotten comfortable with their rhythms, their isolation, their communities that they already have. So like anybody that comes into my life, you may feel the same. It's kind of like, well, I already have a routine. So like, how do you fit in this?
Right. Yeah, because you definitely got to adjust your routine.
Yeah. And so if you're unwilling, going back to the Bell Hooks quote, if you're unwilling to do that, it's not going to work. And I feel like there's a lack of willingness from so many people. I mean, don't get me wrong. My friends are out here. Some of my friends are out here still meeting amazing men, and they are getting married and they are happy. And then there's others that it's just like, what is going on?
Yeah. But I think that at what point, so, when you first start dating and talking to somebody, like at what point are you looking for this person to have these certain things that you desire?
I don't
know what I'm
know.
saying? Because I think that sometimes we got to give a person a chance, but also we also got to take people for who they are. So if somebody is showing and displaying who they are and you continue to talk to them and then you end it, months down the line, I feel like that's on you. Like when you tell the story about why this didn't work out, that's not on the other person. This other person has been consistently them, but you have been there, and now you want to complain about it, or now it's an issue months down the line. Because I feel like sometimes people feel like they can change a person, or make a person conform to what their style is of loving, or their style of communicating, their style of being in a relationship. And sometimes I think it's important to just take the person as face value. Like, this is what you're showing me. This is who you are. I may not like everything, but these are the things that I do like. And am I okay? Am I okay with the things that I don't like?
Yeah, I just saw a clip of that the other day, actually, where someone asked, that was on another podcast. I'm not saying who it is because y'all going to be watching ours only. But they were on another podcast, and he had asked them, like, should people change for the person that they're with?
Yeah.
And the man talked about how, like, that's a very challenging question. But
what do you think?
Should people change?
Yeah.
I think you have to in certain aspects of it. Like, I think
but in totality.
No, I shouldn't be unrecognizable.
Okay.
But so I think that when you are in alignment with your person,
right,
the request that they have of you will probably have you be a better person in all. It doesn't just benefit the relationship of you and I.
Yeah.
It would be like, oh, this person is telling me to do this because this will benefit. But I also feel like if I have to request too many things, we're not aligned.
Right. So how do you identify the change? So what I mean by that is, we're dating, right? You don't like something that I do, and you bring it to my attention, right? It's up to me to decide, hey, is this whether I'm going to change it or not. But what if I don't change everything and I just change something? Like, are you going to be, do you feel like, you can answer it two ways. You can either answer it how you would do it, or the mass of people, what you think they would do. Do you feel like either you or people would be okay with the little that you change most of the time, or if you don't change in totality, then it's an issue?
Yeah, no, I think if I requested something and I told someone how I felt about something, and they're like, hey, this actually feels good to me, but I also want to feel good with you. So in that, can we come to an agreement where we can meet each other halfway? Because I'm not willing to just completely abandon whatever this thing is. So what would that look like for us? And I think that it's important that the person communicate that, like, hey, I'm willing to do this in a very gentle and a compassionate way. And me personally, I would be okay with that depending on what it is. Like, if it's like, you have dinner every Friday with your ex. No, it's a no. You're not going to say, can we do every other Friday?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, like there's a respect there. But if it's like, hey, like, I know you say that you want date night every Friday. I can't really get that to you because I have these other commitments. Can we do every other Friday? I think that things should be compromised. There should be.
Yeah.
Now, there are some people that will have stronger stances on that. Like, there are some people that are going to be like, no, you either change it all or nothing at all.
Yeah.
But I think that what would be helpful to many people is that when they see that there's an intention and there's a willingness to do it, without the willingness, you kind of just feel like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So I personally would be like, okay, thank you. I appreciate that you trying to make this adjustment for us. Like, I can tell by you trying to make this adjustment that this matters to you. So maybe I'll agree to that. Like,
but you know what I think happens a lot of time is that people, and maybe one person in a relationship that confronts the other person and be like, hey, I didn't like this or I don't like this. And then it becomes a battle. Like, oh, well, I don't like when you do this and I don't like when you do that. So they never are able to come up with, you know, the solution to whatever the issue is. And I mean, your response was good, but I don't feel like the majority of people responding like that.
I don't think they are either, but I think there's two particular marriages that I watch closely, not to be like on some stalker stuff, but I think that what they display is just an incredible partnership.
Yeah.
But the mindset is same team. So like, I'm not fighting a war with you. Like, we are on the same team. We desire the same things. And so when I see marriages and relationships like that, I feel like, oh, this is possible. You just have to really meet the person that's willing to be on your team. So if somebody said to me, like, Crystal, you doing this, and I said this to my friend the other day, I said, my hope is that, and I get this wrong, right? So it's a couple of things, and I know we got to wrap, but my hope is that when I do connect with my life partner, that the practices that I have done with him makes him feel like he's safe to communicate with me, to tell me what I'm doing wrong, and it doesn't become an argument on what he's doing wrong. We don't go back and forth. My other thing is that I know it's a practice. So when we first connect, I may be doing it wrong at first.
Yeah.
But I hope that we can repair, right? I hope that there's an intention, like you trust that going forward, I'm not going to shut you down every time you have to say something to me, because I think that's what gets in the way. People stop feeling comfortable talking to their partner because every time I come to you, now either you become the victim or I got to defend what I'm saying. That shit doesn't feel like a safe space to want to continue to do it. It feels like I got to decide whether I'm going to keep the peace or I'm going to go to war.
Right.
So I think that I hope to be that type of partner with someone that they feel safe enough. And when I get it wrong, there's grace, but there's also action corrected.
So do you feel like it's room to practice those same skills when you're by yourself?
With your friends.
Yeah.
But then you can practice when you're with your friends, but I think you really don't truly get exposure to how it's going to feel until you're in a romantic connection. I can heal all day. I can work on how to talk to somebody until you say some wild shit to me.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, Portia can say this to me and I'm fine. But if he say it, so I think there just has to be this level of like. I don't know. I just think you gotta find your one, yo.
So you just said, "Oh, Portia could say this to me," but if he said, "Why is it that you think that people have issues with certain people saying certain things, and even if
because I don't trust your intention?"
No, but so we're talking about a friend. Like you have your friend. Your friend say one thing to you, but then you're in a relationship with somebody, and they say the same exact thing that your friend said. Why does it feel different?
Because I don't trust your intention.
But how don't you trust somebody's intention if you with them?
Because it's like I don't trust the intention behind what you're saying. Like that's why I think people be getting it wrong in their relationships because they think they at war. They're not on the same team. If I feel a way, trust me.
Right.
If Portia say something and the person I'm dating say something, everybody got the same energy. because I trust y'all intention.
Okay.
But if I don't trust your intention and you say to me the same thing Portia say to me, I'm like, why are you saying that? You just saying that because.
So do you feel like you would navigate that way with your partner, or you will only navigate that way with somebody that you're just kind of like talking to? Like dating stage versus intimate relationship. Like we solid.
I think I'll probably be the same way. You mean with the intention? I'm not dating you if I don't think you have good intentions for me. We're not even dating.
What do you mean?
Look,
I ain't gonna even go down that path with dating, because what do you mean? If I'm talking to you,
that don't mean you have good intentions for me. These dudes don't even be having no intentions. They just be wanting companionship sometimes and maybe a little nookie. they don't be having no intentions.
And that's true. That's true for some people.
I said these. I didn't say all.
For some people, but let's not act like it's not the same way with some females.
There might be.
There's some females that's like, oh, I just want to deal with this dude because he got money, or they just want a one-off. Like,
that's true.
It is what it is. We in Miami, it's spring break. We about to turn up. I'm out with my girls. The bachelorette weekend. Yeah, like.
If that works for you, then that works for you. But for me in my house, no. Okay. I'm just not there.
Okay. All right.
I just think if somebody has good intentions for you, a lot. So here's the thing too. Why the fuck I'm still single? Because if I mess with the wrong person, my whole timeline will be pushed back. Because if somebody activates my nervous system, I know me well enough.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
It sends me.
Yeah.
I'm in practice of building it, but I ain't there yet. I don't have time for you to be messing with my nervous system.
Yeah.
So now I'm not going to the gym. I'm not working on my businesses. I'm not.
Right. But I feel like going back to self-love and building your self-love, if you create that space for yourself and you work on those things when you are single. I'm working on my spiritual, I'm working on my finances, I'm working on my home environment, I'm working on my work environment, I'm working on my emotional state. And you work on all these different self-love categories with yourself and you build yourself up. When you get into those type of situations, you now have these coping skills that you can utilize. But if you're not working on that while you're not single, then everything's gonna trigger you.
But let me tell you this, honey. Ain't no damn way that I did all of that working in my single stage and all of that building in my single stage. You know how much I pay for therapy a month? $800. You ain't even gotta guess. I told you. You think that I'm gonna let some unintentional person just come on over? What?
Oh, I didn't say that.
No, I know you ain't say that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about you. I'm just saying, like, there's not, it ain't even good. So you would have to really.
But it's possible. It's definitely possible.
It might be, but, well, I hope
it's
not,
Lord. It's possible
Lord.
Because, look.
Lord, it's me
the
again.
thing about it is that you do not know when someone has intention or not.
Yes, you do.
You can see intention. You can see. People can do certain things that are clearly intentional, right? Christmas is coming up. I got you a Christmas gift. I went out and did this. I came over your family's house. This is intentional things that I'm doing, right? But then there's all this gray space that's out there, all this darkness that's out here that you don't know every step that an individual is taking, and you don't know if every step that they're taking when it comes to you is intentional. So I feel like intentional, some things we can see, but some things we can see, some things we can feel, but not all of intentionality we can. And sometimes it's us jumping out there and just exploring and going on with, that individual or people to figure out like, hey, is this the right person for me?
I don't know if you can do intentional without displaying intention.
No, I can display intention that you don't see.
Like how? What's an example of an intention that you would do for somebody you dating that they wouldn't see?
That they wouldn't. So I'll use the analogy I just did about Christmas gifts, right? Now, I got Christmas gifts. I came and gave you the Christmas gifts, but you don't know everything I did to do it, right? So you don't know the full length of intention that I went through unless I told you. You know what I'm saying? I could have been somebody that I really could have had no money. I could have been making phone calls to get discounts. I could have been doing all these little things to make sure you got everything that you said that you wanted. You know, that's intention that you do not see.
Yeah.
But you can see like, oh, okay, you gave me a gift. Like, cool, I'm happy with what you gave me.
That's true. But I didn't see all the stuff you did to get there.
No.
That makes sense.
Yep.
That makes sense.
You good? The
No,
bug
I
going
need
out?
water. I need water. I need water. I should be able to drink my water. No, but I think that this was good. I think that, like, you know, dating has its challenges. Singleness has its challenges.
Yeah.
But they also have really great joys and experiences.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that people I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, date yourself. So one of my homegirls, we we used to have a lot of deep conversations all the time, and I remember she was telling me like, yeah, I really started like dating myself, and she was telling me what that looked like for her. So she was like, just how I would like somebody else to take me out to eat and, you know, we fine dine, et cetera. Like I started doing that at home. Like I'll cook this fancy meal and I'll look cute and I set the table up and I would enjoy my time with myself, you know, and, you know, be happy with silence. Sometimes people are uncomfortable with silence and people are uncomfortable with being alone, but sometimes that's where you are able to grow the most, you know? So before, you know, we talk about self-love, I think that it's important before you go into relationships with other people that you go ahead and date yourself and you identify what that relationship with yourself is like. You know, what's my values? What's my morals? What are the things that I'm good at? What am I not good at? You know, what do I need to improve on so that at least when you do go into these relationships with people, you know where you stand. Because we can't control the people that we are dating.
That's true. I remember when my friend had gotten married and like a couple of years ago. And I swore like marriage wasn't for me. I thought partnership wasn't for me. I thought that I shared this with you a long time ago, that I had to have all these things right. Like that once somebody found out my whole story, they'd be like, damn, you too much. And I no longer think that way. I really do feel like it's all about alignment. And that's what I just keep telling myself when things don't go right or a relationship doesn't go right or I'm like, this doesn't feel good. I'm just like, it's just not the right alignment right now.
Yeah.
And so as you are dating yourself, just keeping in mind that do things that feel good. Honestly, when you try to force a circle in a square peg, it won't fit. And at some point, you have to ask yourself, is this for me right now? And if it's not, it's being comfortable enough to walk away and trust that what you desire is available to you.
Yeah.
And it's okay if it's not the person that you want it to be. I'm so glad that the people that I wanted ain't my people, that they didn't become my people.
Yeah.
So it's just allowing yourself to do what aligns. The key to getting what you want is wanting the right things. And that's all I gotta say.
Wanting the right things. I I agree. Self-awareness, wanting the right things, loving yourself. That's where we at.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for tuning in to our second show of How the Fuck Is This a Podcast? How TF is this a podcast?
TF. On the nicer side.
You know, on relationships, self-love. And we'll see y'all next episode.
See you next episode.